Molly, 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 Molly. We took Molly.
Yeah. And that's a Ween song, Ode to Ween.
Yeah, that is a Ween song called Molly.
Yeah. And that is how kind of Molly feels like. You're like, Molly, 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 Molly.
It's true.
There's a song you played the other day that I was like, this is what Molly feels like. Do you remember what that was?
Was it While We Were Tripping?
No, I don't think so. It was like okay, if you don't remember immediately.
No, I do, but you'd have to give me a little bit more information. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
It was probably an Angry Samoans song.
Yeah, because we've been listening to a lot of them.
Yeah. But today is, I don't know, what, 4 or 5 days after we took Molly?
Yeah, I've been feeling great.
Yeah, we took some time to integrate, which I think, man, we're getting so good at doing this.
I was thinking this morning, I was like, okay, we've been doing this for 6 years, 7 years, 5 years. 6?
Molly, psychedelia, 10.
Yeah, but Molly in particular, because it does feel like you dial it in a little more every time. I mean, it had been 8 months since we did it last. So.
Yeah. Yeah, when I think back about how we used to do it, I'm like, we were crazy. Like, we were raw dogging it.
Well, I think we were just getting experience. I think when you haven't done it, you have a little more room to play around in that space, I think. Because you get a lot out of it every time you do it.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting. And I think the more you've done it, the longer you can go between doing it. And that's not with responsibly.
Yeah.
You know, I think the more you do it like consecutively, like weekend after weekend or day after day, like then you pretty much fry your shit out.
Well, you start to you fry your shit out, and it just starts to take away the the magic.
Yeah. Well, what were you saying? The guy from the kid from AJ from Sopranos was saying how he did.
Oh yeah, he stopped taking Molly because on his 28th birthday he took 3 grams over the course of 2 days or something.
Yeah.
And just was going nonstop, and then like couldn't eat, couldn't keep anything down.
Yeah.
And was very, very concerned about his life to the point where he went to the doctor and he was like, I don't know what's going on with me. I did all these drugs and I can't keep anything down. And the doctor was like, when's the last time you ate a vegetable? And he's like, there's vegetables in the fried rice I get from the Chinese place or whatever. You know, they're cut up, they're in there or whatever. And the doctor was looking at him like, what the hell? He did, literally the doctor just said, go get a green juice. He took a sip of this green juice and he was like, a whole new life started for me. And now he's obsessive about his health and the food he eats and everything. I mean, I don't want to say obsessive, but like he's like us.
Yeah.
And it took a big experience. It took a life of not ever putting anything good into his body.
Yeah.
And then he had this crazy situation, and it flipped a switch. And now he's like 40 now. And
talk about flipping a switch. You had just read me also an anecdote or a story about a woman like snorting 550 hits of acid or something.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what she thought she was doing. Probably coke. I don't know what else you could think you were doing, or I don't know how she had access to it. I used to know the details of this story because I heard this story like years ago.
Yeah.
But it just popped up in Reddit the other day. But basically, she accidentally took 550 hits, snorted it, and for 12 hours blacked out. And then for the next 12 hours was completely blissed out. And on the other side of it, she all her chronic pain was gone, and she was addicted to morphine before that.
Mm-hmm.
She's never taken it since.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows what other weird shit might have happened to her. Like, I wouldn't say that an excessive dose of acid is like a universally good thing, but at all. Not even close, but...
No, I wouldn't say universally good, but like, I don't know. It's the more we learn about people's personalities and stuff, I think we'll be able to figure out what works best for people. But like I was telling you the other day, I was like, what really gets me, what really have been like the holy shit moments of our psychedelic life so far is like the unexpected one.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you think it's going to be easy breezy, you take it and it just hits you like a ton of bricks. Or like the first time we took mushrooms, like it just caught my ego so off guard that real change came out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I like integration. It's probably my favorite part of taking psychedelics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think this was the most responsible time we did it because our buddy gave us.
Shout out to Kellyanne.
Yeah.
Mad love.
Yeah.
She hooked us up with all the supplements you're supposed to take.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking some 5-HTP shit. We
Yeah.
didn't even take 5-HTP.
And she said that someone on the Discord had that's how she figured out what to do. So thanks to someone on the Discord.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I feel great. I feel like we did it just the two of us, which was nice. I feel like that's been a minute since we've done that.
It's been at least
couple
3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The last time you and I intentionally took MDMA together to like work on our shit was right before the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah.
2019.
Okay. Yeah, that's a minute ago now.
Yeah.
And I think we both went into this being like, we don't need to do this, but it would help us. You know what I mean? And that's what's crazy to me because I see couples and I know couples who like need this shit, and I just try to say like, I try not to push it on anybody, but like, hey, there is this thing that could help you.
Yeah.
Oh, I should read that thing you sent me that I then sent to my mom.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
your
yeah.
mom.
Read it.
Okay.
I mean, look, there's a million stories like this on the internet, but while we're on the subject, we
Might as well read one of them.
Yeah, let's cover our bases here for once in our damn life.
Okay. This is on Reddit. I think MDMA saved my family. My husband, this is like not that long, so no worries. Don't stress out. Okay.
People are like sitting there listening, like, hey, I was looking to wrap this podcast up. Like, what are you doing? You're about to read a paragraph? Like, what?
Okay. My husband and I, 35 male, 35 female, have had a horrible run lately. We have been on the road to divorce for a while. A few months ago, I was miserable in my marriage, in my life in general, and I felt the only way I would ever be happy is alone with my daughter. I told my husband how I was miserable and wanted a divorce. He admitted he was miserable too, but he didn't want to give up. The husband has done a fair share of drugs in his life. I experimented a bit in my younger years, but had thought I grew out of it. Honestly, I was appalled when my husband begged me for a child-free night where we could roll. I felt like it wasn't appropriate to do it as a 35-year-old parent with a career. When I say I fell back in love with my husband that night, that's honestly an understatement. We ended up getting tickets to an EDM show, Ganja White Night, and it changed me wholeheartedly. We ended up vibing with a group of people. Otis, if you're out there, I promise I will really name my next child after you. Most of them, like me, were real people with real jobs and families. I felt so at home there. We got a hotel and dosed again when we got back. I remember every single thing I loved about my husband, and we worked through all of the things that we have been struggling with openly, honestly, without judgment. Some of it hurt to think about when I sobered up, admittedly, but I feel close enough to my husband now that I can talk about the pain with him and communicate openly. I'm so glad he convinced me because I would have destroyed a marriage that had so much genuine love and respect that we just forgot how to access.
Powerful.
Powerful stuff. I'm happy for that woman and her husband.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I want to hear more stuff like that. Less about people giving up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why not try this if you're about to give up?
I mean, at the very least, give it a shot.
Well, we've actually also done entire podcasts about
you shouldn't give it a shot. If your relationship's over, just wrap
if
it up.
you know it's over.
Don't extend it with Molly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
really
it's a
gotta
different thing. Like when you have kids and you're married and you've made long-term commitments to each other and you have houses together, and like the fucking nasty ass cauldron of bullshit that you encounter when you start trying to separate from your partner who you have entangled with so much. Like, it is worth seeing if this thing could help.
There's a big difference between like my husband's a disrespectful son of a bitch or my wife is like an absent-minded whore or whatever, and like, hey, we're just having trouble communicating, we don't see eye to eye, he doesn't hear me, I don't feel like loved, and we don't see each other in the same way. Like, I think there's a big difference.
Is this because I called you an absent-minded whore the other day? Imagine. Imagine that.
That wouldn't even be good dirty talk.
No, you would no, it wouldn't. You low IQ slut.
Fuck.
You fucking little ADHD floozy. The hell are you doing? No, I think you're like, yeah, we didn't need it, but like we wanted to take it. Like for me, I feel like I was calling for it for like the past month, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I didn't want to take it. Like we split up with Mare, who was like our partner for a while, in case you're new to this. And I didn't want to take it right in the wake of that, which
Mhm.
I think now looking back was such an ace move on my part. I think it really, really, really helped us reconnect.
Yeah.
Not make it about another person, not make it about grief, not get confused, because I've gotten confused before.
After a breakup, doing MDMA,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
too soon.
yeah, yeah. Where you were maybe just like life was going fast and everything, you know, and you hadn't processed those feelings for real, and then you take this thing and like everything starts coming up because like for me at least, I think it just puts me into the kingdom of forgiveness.
Mhm.
So it's very hard to keep track of a narrative as to why this person that we love isn't around, you know. So I can get confused, and that's happened in the past.
And like kind of clingy. Like we should be like you think of the relationship from your highest state because you're in your highest state and you're like this is crazy that we don't relate anymore and you kind of cling
Yeah,
to like
yeah,
then this like judgment forms of like why can't we love each other the way we would love each other on MDMA all the time, you know what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
exactly. So there is a form of that to me is the form of a bad trip on MDMA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like having access to all the love in the world, but you can't put it towards the person you want to, you know?
Right.
That's kind of what it felt like. So
You're in like a purgatory.
yeah, I've been doing good since like we split up with Samara. Like I think I've handled it like an adult. It's like um, I got my head wrapped around it, but I didn't want to like unnecessarily drag the lake and muck shit up and find stuff I didn't want to find. You know,
Mm.
not yet. We had too much shit to do, so we needed to stay focused. So yeah, I don't know. For like the past month, I feel like I've been telling you like, hey, instead of the Sigma grind set we're on all the goddamn time and just pushing ourselves to the absolute limit and going here, going there, staying on the road, filming every day, podcast nonstop. Like, can we just take a couple days like where we're not around anybody at all and we take Molly again? So you made it happen.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
great. I highly recommend to everybody in the whole world. That's like literally what I wanted to do. I just wanted to like be a Molly fairy that was like, here, and you should have some Molly, and you should have some Molly. But I also just remember like it. People find it at the right time. People are open to it at the right time. Like it's not for me to judge. And I think the times that I've done Molly and not had the spaciousness to integrate it has been like more difficult.
I think that's a potential hell on earth scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and just because I know it so much with Molly, I think I should apply it to all of the drugs or big experiences that you have in life. It's
Mm-hmm.
like if you have this luxury, set aside some time to like breathe it in, integrate it with your regular ass 3D existence and figure out like what changes you want to make and what small steps you could start taking to become the person that you saw yourself as.
Well, you kept saying, which I really appreciated, you were like, um, it's nice to do this stuff and feel like we can pat ourselves on the back, not in like a self-congratulatory way of just like, hey, we've set the intention on previous Molly trips that we want to be closer with our family and we want to be better to each other and just like taking a moment to like acknowledge all that we have done.
Yeah.
And that was really nice too. Like that didn't feel like a huge chasm of like where we want to be and where we are as far as like how we love each other, how we love the people in our life and stuff like that. So that just felt good, and it just felt good to I don't know, just have deeper appreciation for each other and acknowledge it. There wasn't like we go through so much together, but did you feel like there was any I don't know, monumental shift or growth or acknowledgement or
See, for me, that substance is more about relief than like, epiphanies,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like on like mushrooms after a few hours or acid after a few hours, after the first few hours, I'm like, forget about it. I'm the smartest person in the world. Like, ask me anything right now. Like, I understand anything I think about,
Right.
and therefore I can have epiphanies, and it's really rad and rewarding. And yeah, with Molly, it's like, I don't know, it's so therapeutic for me. It's more like relief, and I
Mm.
even see the way it affects me, just even as opposed to you. Like, it doesn't have that, like, I don't know. You know how people with ADHD like take a stimulant and it calms them down? Maybe do I have ADHD?
I mean, I think we all have some degree of ADHD.
Yeah, but do I have the like? Oh yeah, I mean, look,
No,
I don't
not.
think so.
You probably have the opposite.
Yeah, yeah. And I've never taken stimulants, so I don't really know what they would do to me. But
No, you have. You've taken coffee and it fucking makes you crazy.
oh man, yeah, for sure. But basically, yeah, we took it. It hit us, and it's a bit of a come up for me because it's like, oh, everything, I'm going through changes.
Yeah. um,
And like, I have all this stuff like, it's hard to get this stuff out of your head if you're a guy like me, because I really just want to do right by my body, and I really want to do right by the me tomorrow and the next day
you're
and the
already
next
stressing if
day.
you can't sleep or something.
Just getting that stuff in your
Like,
head,
what did I do?
like I know, like, before we take it, I'm sitting there looking at I'm like, it's getting late, like let's start doing, you know what I mean, like let's get into this so I can maybe have a chance of sleeping tonight, because like that's very important to me. And another thing that's important that I've read about MDMA is that you don't get overheated,
Mm-hmm.
which I think that's how most people use it. They're in a sweaty ass club or
Yeah.
whatever, but really trying not to get you to keep your body temperature above normal for too long.
Mm-hmm.
So like, but as soon as I take this, I'm sitting there in like a low grade sweat for like 3 hours, and I'm like, oh no, what the fuck? So I had a little bit of that stuff going around, but once it's smoothed out, incredible. I really don't think there's anything in this world like it.
Yeah, it just felt very smooth. Like, oh, here we are. And then just being able to talk to each other and
Yeah.
just like acknowledge certain things. And that stage lasts for a while. I find myself like towards the end of Molly coming into like, I don't know if I want to call it manic, but just like I get a little more in my head because I'm like, wow, I'm having like such great, like, oh, loving ideas. And then I start thinking about those ideas. And just for me, it's not like a battle of thoughts. It's just like I've learned enough about life that thoughts aren't where it's at. And when you're in a very loving state, your thoughts are very seductive because you're having like a very loving thoughts and you want. When I have bad thoughts, like I've trained myself to breathe.
Yeah.
But like when I have good thoughts, I'm
You're
like,
like, ooh.
ooh, I'm chasing a dragon. But
Yeah.
it was like,
and I see it happening.
mm-hmm.
And this literally, if you had like a time lapse camera on us, like you're bouncing up and down, running all around. I'm literally just sitting like this the whole time, just like nodding my head every now and then. But I think, yeah, I mean, the way you do it, I love it. I love what it brings out in you. But it's also like watching, I don't know. It's like just like watching a microcosm for like what the Buddhists talk about all the time. It's just like, don't get ahead of yourself. Don't get attached. There's suffering that's going to come with getting attached to that stuff. So it's like in the first half of the trip, you're like, oh my God, what we need to do is take your
No, first half of the trip, I'm chill and we're like
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at each other.
yeah,
and,
yeah.
like,
yeah, it's very calm.
it's just very calm.
Yeah,
And like, whoa,
yeah.
this is like you feel a little warm and you're just like,
Yeah.
wow, everything's really awesome.
yeah. And then you get flying saucer eyes, and the energy hits you. And to me, the only way to prevent, like, I'm not saying what you do is bad or different or like what it is, just is what it is. But the only way for me to prevent like getting up in that in just like the hamster wheel in my head, like, oh my God, and then we can, is to just drop it into the body, because I really think that's what MDMA is trying to do. It's
Yeah.
trying to release your body from the stories. And if you're sitting there in the hamster wheel making new stories while your body's trying to release these stories, you can get a little bit in the, oh my God, and then like, and I kind of saw it happen to you, like where you're like, oh, I reached the end of the marathon.
Well,
I thought all the things and I said all the things, and you were kind of like, I'm a little spooked right now.
well, I wasn't like spooked. I was just like, I was aware. I was like, hey, I'm aware of my pattern and I'm like in that pattern.
You're
I'm
like, I'm
in
about to start having like a come down a little bit.
not even a come down, just like kind of like I'm in the pattern of like getting really excited that I want to make plans that involve other people. And
Hmm.
once you want to make plans that involve other people, then you have an attachment to another person showing up the way you want them to, so you can have this ideal moment where the family
Perfect. Exact. Very well put.
yeah, like, oh, I like, and it's very pure-hearted stuff. Like, I really want the family to come together, but it's like creating judgments of like, oh, well, if someone doesn't make time for that, then they don't care. And it's like, it's in my reality tunnel of what the ideal thing is, rather than just being like, oh, and so I kept coming back like, hey, I'm glad I'm having positive intentions. I'm glad I feel positive. I'm glad that's the energy I want to like dance with the tiger towards, but I don't need to be attached of like, okay, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do that, and then this person will come and do that, and like,
Yeah.
you
I,
know,
I think it just speaks to your generosity. And I think it speaks to your lack of at least the amount of baggage I have, you know, that you can, that you take a substance like that and you immediately want to help other people,
well, I just want to
you know?
I just want like, I want to spread the vibe, you know.
Yeah. Well, you want the family to come closer together. You want to be closer with our friends. And, you start talking about, they don't seem like drugged out ideas and concepts. You're like, yeah, we should get together. We should have a game night with your sister and her kids and this and that. And then it's just like the come down a little bit is like, they're not on Molly right now. They're not thinking about this. They're so busy.
They're so busy.
There's no way to get their attention. And then it kind of like, then the reality of what reality is hits you. And you're like, oh yeah, everyone's kind of like in their own reality tunnel.
Yeah, and who am I to fuck with that? Like, who am I to
Yeah.
judge it or say like, hey, this is what needs to happen?
And the time that you're seeking with them and that feeling you're seeking with them and that like that thing that you want to plan and set up and execute perfectly is happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you have access to
And
it
it can
with your
happen in
lover who's right there with you.
And it could happen in little moments. Like, it doesn't
Oh,
have to be
yeah.
like these grand, big game nights or whatever.
That's what
it
I
is.
think is happening since we came back. Is
Yeah.
I feel like we're just showing up a little better in the small moments. And to me, that's the only strategy in terms of like repairing family stuff and healing family stuff. It's just like a little bit at a time.
Yeah, and being available to it and not setting expectations too high.
Change a habit. I
Yeah.
just deleted Twitter. It could be, one of the reasons is because when I go up and I hang out with my parents, they really deserve my attention. But instead, I'm like trying to distract with this thing, and it's like I should probably feel the feelings of overwhelm that they make me feel, so I could process them a little bit, not without this thing that's like blunting those feelings
Mm-hmm.
and distracting me and fucking up my hormones, setting off goddamn dopamine all over the place.
Yeah, dopamine, but also fear. It's fear response and a lot of.
Fear, yeah. Righteousness too.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling like because you gathered all these random data points and you're able to make a narrative about it, that's the right one, and that's the one you want to speak to, and that's the side you're on. And it's like, I just don't want to have anything to do with any of that shit. So
Well, you want to, I think, have loving awareness for every moment and every reality, and I think
yeah,
Twitter is like really good at pulling you in different directions based on who you follow, of like indignation and what I was saying to you last night, I was like, you are like one of the most sensitive people I know. For you to like bombard your system with people trying to get you riled up is kind of like an insane pattern for
Yeah.
you to be on.
mm-hmm.
I mean, for everyone, but you in particular.
And it's crazy because I exclude Twitter from that. Like I'm like, oh no, it's just that like, oh no, I find funny things on there too and interesting things and rabbit holes to go down. It's not all just like bad news and me trying to get worked up. But it is, like I don't know, like I know better than to watch the news or read the fucking newspaper. Like I know better because it just hijacks my nervous system and has me behaving in a way I don't want to behave. So I should know better about Twitter. I've made so many excuses until last night, literally. You were like, you should consider doing a favor for your like body and just take breaks. And I was like, I don't really take breaks from things, so I just deleted it. That's that.
Yeah, and I don't think it changes who we are. Like, we care about people. We want there to be peace. We want people to love each other. We don't believe in war. And we're trying to foster that energy in our relationship, in our home,
Yes.
in our community. And it's like we're trying to tap into that frequency, hold that frequency, honor that frequency. And I don't think the answer is to be uninformed. I think it's to have more responsible ways of informing yourself through conversations we have with your family, conversations we have with our friends, conversation and different journalism and
Yeah.
actually reading an article instead of like a journalist one-liner about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like there are journalists you respect. Like we can read their whole article rather than their like
Yeah.
quick points on Twitter or whatever.
I'm just interested to see who I become if I just take all that stuff out. Because like as much as it might seem like I'm really interested in like what happened and what's the news, like I'm not as interested in that as I'm interested in how it affects a person and how they speak to it and how basically the cause of I mean the effects of propaganda and like how people sometimes take it very seriously and they get these narratives and they're very serious about them, and like I'm more interested in that now, like more like a sociological look at it than like the details of like, wait, what happened in this conflict and who did what. Like
Well, and I think
I'm
also,
not as interested. I don't care. I'm more interested in it's like how are people processing this.
and I think there's different times in our life to be different things. Like I think you spent a lot of your younger years trying to be a voice for the oppressed,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's not a worthy cause. Like the stories should be shared. We should understand what people are going through, but I think there's different stages of your life and how you can be best of service. And
I mean, I grew up before Twitter and all that stuff.
yeah.
So it felt important that if you could pick up on a message or a narrative from a song you heard by Leftover Crack or The Clash or whatever, and like it informed you, and then you did your research. It felt like you were part of like taking the responsibility of carrying that story forward and informing people, and it's just become less and less and less important. And I just don't know what my voice commenting on current events there's no way I could possibly know what's actually going on, like what that does for anybody besides create more static and distance.
Well, and I think like we just saw that Scorsese doc or movie. Sorry, not doc. Am I saying his name right? Scorsese.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, whatever. Um, we just saw Killers of the Flower Moon last night, which was really, really well done.
Excellent. A+ movie.
But he communicates so much in a feature-length film that it's just like, I think for some people who their voice is, they have Twitter and that's how they express themselves. Like, I'm not saying people shouldn't express themselves on Twitter, but I'm saying everyone can have that conversation with what is the best use of how I express myself and how can I express myself most genuinely and have the most impact. And I think for him, and maybe for you, like calming down, seeing the bigger picture, having these bigger values, and then communicating that through cinema and film, and like because you have, like we're saying, you don't necessarily have ADD, you have the focus to see a film through and a project, that anything that kind of steals your attention from like the larger narrative of the film you're creating
or pulls me out of the purity that I'm trying to make that with.
Yeah. And into like, yeah, the anger, the like we were I think it was important to have like we've had heated discussions with our friends and with your family and stuff like that, and yeah, there's a time and place for all
What were
of
you
it.
about to say?
I don't know what I'm about to say.
Well, when we went up to Noah's and you and Noah just argued for 6 hours and then we left.
We pretty much feel similarly. It's not like it, but we do have a
But that would, like what I'm saying, that was fascinating to me.
mm-hmm.
You know, first of all, because it brings out a side in you that, like, only my parents bring that out in me. You know what I mean? Where you're like, no. You know, where you're, like, impassioned. And you're like, you need to hear me right now. You need to actually listen. And just feeling two people dig their heels in and feeling two people have completely different conversations, but they're having the same conversation, but they're communicating completely different things that are just completely lost on the other person. And I'm like, it's just crazy to bear witness to it, like in a very safe, controlled environment with our friend and be like, oh, yeah, no, I understand how things get out of control very quickly in this life.
You know,
And conflict goes crazy.
Noah and I love each other, have similar core values.
Yeah.
Are just seeing different sides of a thing and being like, well, don't you want to relate to this side of people, and don't you want to relate to this side of people, and how could you not relate to this, and how could you not relate to that, and it was just like such a safe space for us to kind of like talk about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we also care about each other, but then imagine trying to like do that with strangers on the internet.
I mean, yeah, you have no idea where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the only reason I can bear witness to you and Noah doing that is because I know Noah so well and I know you so well, you know?
And we don't hold grudges, and we're all like, we're both good
No,
people.
yeah, totally. But just coming from different perspectives. Noah's a temporarily disgraced billionaire, and you're a temporarily very lucky homeless person. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of how you relate. Like, you know, it's like we go through life like, wow, we're so lucky that we're able to do this, and that we're born to the families we were born to at the times we were born to, with the brains we were born with, and all of this stuff. And Noah's just like, I can't believe I'm down here with the working class.
No,
This is great.
Noah feels like we do. He's very grateful for his life and everything.
No, I understand that, but when you're speaking about big world conflicts that we're all misinformed about, you can really feel who relates more with what side. And
Well,
I try to see everything through
I can feel what
class.
side you relate more with, and that's my side. You know what I mean? So it's just.
Yeah,
But it's all just
But I'm like, I'm not going to convince anyone otherwise. I'm more interested in like collecting the data and listening. Like, that's what I've been through this all the conflicts. You know, I'm not even going to mention the names of the conflicts, but just all the stuff that's happening in the media right now and the stuff where they're trying to get us worked up about. I don't want to go espousing my opinion about it loudly and, you know, righteously.
What's fun about talking to Noah about stuff is because we both also have like a very similar understanding of reality, so we can like talk about all this stuff, see our different points of view, and then like bring it back to like, well, there's only one of us. You know what I mean? It's just like it's fun and it's trippy.
Oh yeah, very fun. Very fun.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I feel the way I felt after 9/11 right now. Like, I did not stand with the US of A after 9/11. I don't really stand with states and governments. I love people, and I want people to love each other. And I want a pathway towards how we can love each other, because when we don't love each other, it's hurt people, you know.
And it'll just continue.
And it's just continue, and I feel like...
And it's not like this retribution is going to end the pain for everyone involved, as long as we even the score right now.
No, it creates more pain, and I think Americans need to also wake up to the fact that our big military doesn't make us safer. It puts us a bigger target on our back. And I think we, as the United States, are a terrorist organization, and I think we're in denial about that. And I think that we should be very concerned about how we've affected people across the globe. And those are our brothers and sisters, and how we look out for people. And we've created a lot of terror, you know, a lot of fear with our presence. And that doesn't make us safer at all. And doesn't make any... And if other people aren't safe, we're not safe either, so... And I think we're just like a cocky country who is a real son of a bitch who can just like put lots of weapons into other continents, pretty much is what we're doing. We're just like we're just filling other continents with like crazy weapons. And then, but do you think if someone was giving like a lot of weapons to Canada or Mexico, we would be like, this is cool? Or do you think we would be giving a lot of weapons to Canada or Mexico when they could come back here? I think someone's knocking.
What were you saying?
I don't know exactly. Nothing, obviously, that's important. I can trust that was an interruption at the right time.
Just finish your point.
I don't remember what my point was.
You were saying if somebody was arming...
Oh, I just think that we can just, like, very confidently send weapons to other countries, and because we have, like... Mexico and Canada, where, like, you know what I mean? It's just very easy when you're just like...
We're geographically, like, perfectly isolated.
Yeah.
And we're in control of not only everything around us, but everything in the world, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know what's the best, but I don't trust that America has operated with good intention and love and care for people. I think we've created situations of terror and unrest, and in the name of security, you know. So
Well, it's in the name of money. They just use security as the excuse. They don't provide it, but they say that's what they're doing with the billions that we filter towards the military-industrial complex. And yeah, it's a nasty situation. We've talked about a lot, and it's
when I was a kid, I really did believe that that there were
that we were the good guys.
that we were the good guys.
Yeah,
that
we were like the policemen, and we
that
were
everyone was like
getting the bad guys.
yeah, that there's savages out there, and that we need
Mhm.
to make sure that people are protected from those people. And I do think there is conflict does happen in this world where there needs to be like a United Nations. Like, I think of what happened, the genocide in Rwanda. Like, yeah, people needed to come in and squash that. Like, that was a crazy genocide, and that's like kind of what there should be international agreements about how we treat each other and what our war. Yeah, I know.
We defy them. We're
Yeah.
the country that defies them.
I know that's
Everyone in
yeah.
the United Nations called for a ceasefire, except us. We blocked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, let's not probably.
Oh, you said your piece, so you're good.
Okay, no, you can say your piece.
No, I mean, look,
Yeah.
it's nasty business. It's really nasty business. Like, and what I want to try to provide is like some safe solace outside of that, where it's like you just come back home, come back to your body, come back to your relationships, your friendships, and I think that's what the media steals from us, especially when you flip between both sides of our media channels, and everybody has agreed upon there's an enemy, and they're just about getting you scared and convinced that this enemy is more powerful than they are.
And the other side's then doing the same thing. Is like there's an enemy, and just
Yeah.
like trying to say like these are you think these are the bad guys? No, these are the bad guys. It's
Yeah.
like let's just throw out the bad guy story and just be like we're hurt people hurting people.
Yeah. Well, and the position that we're in, and this is what kills me when I think about all this stuff, the position we're in with the power and wealth and the military that we have, is we could put an end to all conflicts overnight. We really could. That's how powerful we are. But instead, we make new ones. And
Yeah.
we fight multiple wars and use other people's citizens as pawns in those wars.
Yep.
And it just all leads to more otherization. And then I hear these conversations, and that's all I hear is the language of otherization. And it slips in there very subtly. And it all really, it wipes me out. And like you're saying, I'm too sensitive to be taking in all of that, like negative stimulation, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's just requiring us all to really check in with ourselves, because I found myself very angry in the last, and judgmental and fearful and all this stuff.
And how does it play out in your life?
What?
If you're carrying anger because of some conflict that's happening on foreign lands that you could do nothing about, how does the anger manifest in your life? Through conflict here.
Yeah.
Through frayed relationships between us, between our families, our friends, isolation, all the nonsense that's playing out on the macro level plays out on the micro level when the media and their narratives get their hooks in you. So that's what I'm trying to prevent. And that's like the person in the conversation I'm trying to be when inevitably every conversation gets steered towards this.
Well,
I'm just trying to bring it to those like bigger values and saying like, man, America could change the world if we just took a principled stance and stuck to it and said, no, we're not about destroying other people. We're not about destroying property. We're not about overthrowing governments. Here, we could really take a principled stance that would mean so much to so many people, and we won't do it. It could really change the world. And so instead of me getting angry about that, I'm like, I need to take that stance for my life. And that's why we did the Mali ceremony.
Yeah. No, you wish but then I do feel like, and this is a conversation that you and I have all the time, like, what are the ways that we can change? Like I don't believe we can't do anything. I just think we have to really think about what it is that actually helps. And like, is there a movement to, how do we de-invest in our military industrial complex? How do we not submit and subscribe to uh, toxic capitalism? You know, it's like just lots of big questions that.
Big questions that just lead to what I was saying in the wake of our Mali trip, is that lead to little steps that you can take. And if you look at it like that, anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at it like you were looking at a lot of our relations when you were on the Mali come up as opposed to the come down, and there's attachments and you hope that these people act this way, I think more the move is to start from a place of acceptance and forgiveness. Solutions start to present themselves when you take the previous solutions that are just destroying the world, like war, which is illegal. When you take that off the table and you say, okay, that's no longer an option. Like, it's for us, it's not an option to leave each other, right? We'd never consider that. We wouldn't consider physical violence with each other, right? You know, there's just certain things that are off the table, so we have to figure our shit out in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just apply that to the macro. So all I can do is take a principled stance in my life and stick to it and take the baby steps that I need to get to be a peaceful person, and not use the language of warmongers anymore, and not accept their processed media. It's the same as processed food. It's terrible for you, you know, not just to take on those narratives. So it takes a lot of discipline. It takes deleting Twitter and, you know, whatever the steps are for your life. But I think reconnecting with, to me, like reconnecting the way we reconnected, and you're like the symbol for all the love in my life. To make that strong is like, I don't know, it just starts to make me a little bit more invincible and make me less prone to all the bullshit that ends up pulling people into these conflicts, you know?
Yeah, one thing that we did on the Mali that we didn't talk about yet, but I think was like made this the best trip that we've had, and probably the best integration, is like when we both started to like have the chasm of like, I guess you're coming down or whatever it is. You still feel great, but you kind of like, all of a sudden you start to like notice the tension in your back a little bit more. And like we were stretching, but we also did like an immense amount of body work with each other.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. You know, like rubbing each other's backs, rubbing each other's feet, rubbing each other's hands, and like, and realizing how, bringing attention to how interconnected like our body is its own global system, you know.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. And everything's interconnected. And I think it's more important for you than even me. Like, to me, it's my natural instinct. Like, this stuff brings me into my body. I understand what's going on, and I'm like literally stretching the whole time. I'm doing camel poses and just kind of just trying to keep any tension from forming any new issues. You know how that can happen?
Yeah.
But when I saw you were going through like a little bit of like, oh shit, what the fuck? Oh no. Like, I was like, just lay down, let me grease you up and just rub you down. And it brought you back into your body. And I think it helps a lot.
No, I was like, we should watch there was a baseball game on. I was like, we should watch the game, because I'm not like, I need to do whatever I can to be in this moment and enjoy the Mali here.
Yeah.
Not the Mali, what I'm going to do a week from now or 2 months from now. Like, it's great to have ideas and have clarity about the projects we care about.
Living in the future, though.
Yeah, but there's a fine line between like, yeah, that'd be really cool, and I see a pathway towards that, and being like, okay, and then what's that going to actually be like? And I had to just like bring it home.
Yeah.
Like, I had to remind myself over and over, like, just follow your breath, like, feel your body. And you really helped me move that energy and relax my body and do all that stuff. So I definitely think Mali can be done alone in a very positive way. But if you are with someone, I think spending, you know, a good amount of it, helping each other release, I don't know, doing reflexology pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
We untrained reflexology.
Yeah, whatever. We just do our thing.
Yeah.
I think you had a good idea to go to a real reflexologist and steal their moves.
Yeah. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, we're going to get into that whole scene. I mean, it really it meant the world to me that you found a house and booked it and kept me out of all the details pretty much. Like you found a house with a sauna and you booked it, 2 bedrooms, which I love. And
Well, I think
yeah.
for us, this is our unique way of relating. Is we hardly will do things just the two of us. We always like to have a third muse of like, oh, well, we're with Mayor or whoever it is, and we want to like make sure they have a great time. Like, let's go get an Airbnb and show them like the time of their life. And
Yeah.
we're both setting the vibe and making sure things are clean, and just being like, let's make this the most like we are a team.
Yeah, let's make this like really
And we're
memorable
like, how do we
core
make
memory
yeah, how
type
do we make
of
this
weekend.
like yeah, and so to do it just the two of us, where we're kind of bringing that energy, we had to, at least I felt the need to say like, hey, I'm really like, this is awesome that we're doing it just the two of us, because there was almost like a hump to even get to the place of taking that space together.
Yeah, we're so close, and that it kind of just feels like doing something for yourself. You know, a lot of people ignore that. You know,
Yeah.
it's much easier to do something for someone else or to try to impress somebody else or whatever than to do something like that is just genuinely self-indulgent. That's what it felt like. That's what it feels like to us. Like, oh, we're gonna be self-indulgent and go spend a bunch of money and to have a getaway and take drugs. Like, it just feels self-indulgent, but it's not. It's so necessary that I can't believe it's like not a part of most couples' rituals,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
Look, I mean, obviously, drugs aren't for everyone, and it really depends on what you're already on, and where you're at, and all that stuff. But I think for me, it feels like digestive almost. It feels like a way to comprehend what's going on from a higher place, and it feels like something I need to do like once a year right now. But like you said at the beginning, the more you like understand and work with these things, the less you need them. Even the less dose. Like when we take acid, I just take one microdose and I'm flying. And I'm like, is that because I've taken so much and my body knows what it is and it knows what to do? Like, I don't understand all that stuff, but um, yeah, I just feel like we just need this. We just need to do something like that, like once a year, and recommit.
Yeah, and I like what I was reading from that woman who said that it saved her family was just like, it allows like having that safe space where we can say some stuff to each other, which we didn't even end up getting into the weeds because we've kind of excavated the weeds all along the way, but does make you feel safe to then say stuff to each other. It's like you set a high, we've always say this, you set a high watermark for what life can be, how relating can be, how things can feel, and then you kind of, it's like kind of now in our core memory of each other that, I mean,
Yeah,
several times over, that we can like see each other and be safe with each other and relate with each other and tell each other things and talk about things and calm it down and have that energy about it.
yeah, yeah. Life is crazy and it gets really loud. I think that's what happens. It just feels really loud. It's like where you just can't even just comprehend what the hell you are or what's going on or what's important to you, and you're just going through the paces, and this just feels like a break, and you get to just go to the highest version of yourself and dwell there for a little bit. And I think if you take the supplements and do the right things and do right by your body during it, you can really like dwell in that afterglow for a while and make it very useful.
Yeah, you were good about being like, all right, let's get for a, we went for a, we didn't, we were up there for 2 nights, like one night to just like get acclimated and the next night we did the Molly, but then we left, and then that day we came back and we were like so tired, and you're like, all right, let's go for a long walk, and we went for a long walk, and then the day after that we went for a long hike, and just being like, we gotta keep moving our body. It's important during this integration period to keep it moving and be good to ourselves.
I think if you keep your body moving and especially sweating, like if you have access to a sauna or running or just some way to sweat a bunch after this, like I'm talking like for the next 3 or 4 days, it should be a daily practice for most people, like it is for us. But especially after doing a big ceremony, like keep sweating because you don't know what your body held on to and what didn't, I just think it's good to just like sweat it out, keep it moving.
My prediction for our future is, how like float tanks became a big thing?
Mm-hmm.
I think people are going to wise up, especially with like COVID and the vaccine, like all the heart issues people are having, that one of the best things you can do for your heart health is like saunaing and sweating. And I predict that more sauna places are going to pop up.
Definitely.
And we're just like, we're as partly Finnish people, we're proselytizers of the sauna lifestyle. And we understand not everyone has access to it, but I do believe that access is going to increase because our need for it's going to increase as we become more attuned to our bodies and what our bodies need.
The Finnish, it's so part of their culture that when they were fighting in World War I, they were building saunas in the trenches. Like, the boys couldn't go without it.
Well, that's probably really good. Because when you sauna, you can feel warm for, like, a really long time after that, even when you're cold. Like, when you're in a cold environment.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I know because I just listen to my body. Like, this feels great for me. I function better when I'm doing it. And I heard someone saying it, like, not sweating is like never changing the oil in your car. And I think some people are really averse to it because there's an uncomfortable moment where you're really hot and you're not sweating yet. And I think a lot of people get attached to that moment and how they feel in that moment. They get very judgy about that moment. But just beyond that threshold, when you just let go and surrender to the heat and let your body detoxify, there's just no better feeling. There's no better feeling for me, at least. And it feels quite important the past few days. I think that's why we're doing good. I think in the past we've had, I don't know if we've talked about it on here, but like taking Molly one night on a whim, didn't really take any supplements, didn't really like get the best sleep or hydrate the best, and like you have a week afterwards where you're just wiped out. You don't know what the hell's going on. It almost like took you back a step. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back type of energy.
It does feel like that, where you just and
like,
also,
did this help us? I mean, I can't remember specifically, but I do remember you screaming once, like, I'm never taking Molly with you again. This is crazy. Like, we were just in such a bad place afterwards, and I don't even remember the circumstances, but I guarantee you there was another person there that was adding chaos too.
Yeah, no, we've started to talk about that at nauseum, like what it is to like maybe be relating with someone and trying to make something work that probably fundamentally doesn't work, or you're not as compatible, but you're trying and you're like, it just feels like swimming upstream, making each other feel good in this life, you know what I mean? So definitely is component. I always felt like if I could just be alone on in the integration of Molly, I'd be fine.
That's how I feel about any addiction I have. It's just like, if I was just alone for 3 or 4 days, I wouldn't need nicotine or weed or anything, you know. That's pretty much what I'm hooked on.
Totally. No, I think we have an uncanny ability to self-regulate when we're not having like a bunch of crazy inputs.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying about the media. And they've made themselves seem important in our life. You know, like when I tell my parents, I'm like, just stop, turn that shit off. Well, how will we know what's going on? You don't know what's going on? Look outside, it's raining. What do you mean? What else do you need to know? What else do you need to?
Well, there's a way to know where you don't have to.
Your family's fine. We're all right here.
Well, you also don't need to consume it through your sleep and when you wake up, and you can designate times to like check in and come up to speed with world events, and like there's a way to be informed about things without overloading your system.
Absolutely. Yeah, once a month, go on Wikipedia, type in the previous month. Like right now, it's about to be November.
You see, you're such an extreme personality. You're like, when I told you, like, hey, we shouldn't
Sometimes the boys need this.
Consume so much sugar, you throw out like our healthy cereal. You know,
it's just
you're like it has sugar.
Yeah, but once you realize something, it's just like, I'm not doing that anymore, and like that's just my personality. And I think there's a lot of people that have a similar personality, and there's ways to to keep it suppressed. But I think it's ultimately a positive thing for me. Like if I realize something and I got a new data point and it's telling me don't do this thing anymore, I'm done.
Well, my big thing was not that we have this conversation about the nicotine zips all the time or whatever. I'm not even like invested in when and how you stop or if you stop, but just being like, hey, I think you think it's just because you're parents, but I think you are like, you're stressing your system out through your habits.
Yeah.
And maybe as you, and like I quit, I'm on a break from everything right now, and I find myself, I'm reading more, but I'm also like playing Tetris, it's like one thing, everything fills it in, and you're just like, it just feels like switching kratom for heroin, or heroin for kratom. Basically, going from doing heroin, which is like this intense addiction, to like kratom, where you can like continue to wean it down and
Titrate.
Is that what it's called?
I think.
And I don't know, just a little side note. Supposedly, high doses of vitamin C can help you get off opiates. Very high doses of vitamin C.
Very high doses of vitamin C, which are completely unaffordable for most people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the way that we could afford doing it would involve us drinking it, and you just can't hold it down. But the very high dose of vitamin C kill tumors, like can solve like pretty much any problem your body's having. It's crazy, the research. Yeah, but most people just don't have access to it. And I don't think you could get it through diet without destroying your stomach.
Yeah, but we can consume like high dose vitamin C fruits on a regular basis, and have that be part of your diet.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
But but if you're trying to quit off a drug, it's going to be an investment. It's better than, it's cheaper than going to a rehab,
That's for sure.
That's for sure.
I talk about predictions for the future. I predict that rehab loans will be the new student loans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're not already.
If they're not already. I haven't come across anything about it, but I haven't talked to somebody who's recently gone through an expensive rehab. But
well, I'm sure people have refinanced their house to send their kid to rehab. Like that.
Oh, I have family members that have spent every dime they have trying to get their kids clean.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the educations that they scam us with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You come out with this expensive degree and all this debt, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You need drugs. And then they'll be like, well, there's another predatory loan you can take, and it'll give you access to 30 days away from everybody, and you can get your act cleaned up and get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's not already a thing, it's going to be a thing. It will be. And it'll probably be backed by our federal government in some twisted way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way student loans are. The way the housing market's rigged, there's no escaping it besides changing who you are and what you need and the way you think. And to me, that's like how to do the revolution. If that makes sense. I don't know.
It does.
I love when I say something and then you just go.
I'm sorry. I just had this like urge to use the restroom. I have to pee. But
Cool. Let's wrap it up. This was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little recap of where we're at. And
Yeah.
what our Molly trip was like and how it applies to world conflicts.
No, but me and Noah were just having this. We were just joking with each other. We're like, we're solving the conflict in the Middle East, You
guys were so funny. And at one point, I was just like, okay, I've been listening to you guys argue for like 5 hours. Like, can we have ketamine or something? And Noah's like, oh, yeah. I do a line of ketamine and immediately just throws me into a K-hole. And you guys didn't skip a beat. You just kept going with it. I was like, what the heck is going on here? It's one, like, I was like, Cass, come on.
Well, I didn't do it.
You didn't do it. That's the whole thing. If you had done it, you would have been more in the mindset of like, oh, shit, like, let's calm this conversation down.
Well, I kept saying, let's stop talking about this, but it's like, it's hard not. Noah and I just, we tussle.
That's the safest place to like throw out ideas and see how they sound and be like, that didn't really mean. It's like the safest place, and especially when we're not recording and we're just, it was so fucking funny up there. I forgot about this. Noah's like, like he stopped podcasting for a couple of years, and he lost a lot of patrons, and like he's kind of like starting over. You should support him. Patreon.com/synchronicity. But he was like, yeah, it turns out like, that a lot of people left because I talked about Trump, and then a lot of people, and I was like, how do you know this? And he's like, oh, there's like an outgoing survey on Patreon. Like when people leave your Patreon,
They're anonymous, so you can say whatever the fuck
yeah,
you
could
want.
say it's anonymous, but like, you could basically see like, oh, this person took back their $10 pledge, and like there's generic ones that you can click on, but then there's also a note you can write. And I was like, what? He was like, let me show you how to do it. And he shows us how to do it. And like we're scrolling through, and like all of the people that have canceled on our Patreon, it's always like generic. Like it's always like, love you guys, just my financial situation changed, or like, love you guys, just haven't listened in a while.
I liked the one that was like, love you guys, but my boyfriend introduced me to you and we broke up, so I can't listen anymore.
Yeah, you guys remind me too much of my ex. Like it's just like, look, we had like maybe 8 or 10 people ever left like a typed out comment as to why they left our Patreon.
Someone was like, if you want to know, you can find out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know who you are, so I'm sorry.
If you're curious why I took back this $10 and I'm trying to get your attention, you can hit me up. And it's like, fuck off. But it's so funny. We're like scrolling through, and I'm like, oh wow, I thought this was gonna be like make me very self-conscious. Instead, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I get it. I join and stop Patreon stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But then we come across like one of the first comments we come across is somebody being like, Noah's too much. He's like, you guys can't give this guy a platform. I can't believe you're giving this guy a platform. He's a kook. I'm out. Like, you guys went a step too far in the wrong direction. And I'm just like, it's so funny that we were like reading these out loud with Noah showing us how to read these out loud. And like the only like specific like, hey, fuck you was towards Noah. Like, it was just so funny. It was just so perfect and so funny.
Well, Noah's so balanced because, I mean, like, there's like the way people love someone, there's gonna be people who don't vibe with someone who just like speaks their mind. And what I love about Noah is he speaks his mind.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I love people who speak their mind even if I don't agree with them.
Yeah.
But I think some people could be like threatened or uncomfortable or whatever. And it's funny.
Yeah. It's very revealing. Like there was somebody that was like, well, I have to leave you guys because you're pro-vax, And then the next person's like, I have to leave you guys because you're anti-vax. And it's all from the same episode. It's like it happened in the same, like, it's just like, okay, yeah, there's certain people that sign up for this that need to have their opinion known.
Well, we're just figuring stuff out.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing. Those people that like dangle that in front of us, like, hey, I was gonna give you $2, but now I'm taking it back because you said the wrong thing. I think they might not realize it's just like, we're always saying the wrong thing. Like, we're always saying the right thing. We're just figuring it out. We're just like kind of figuring out where we stand. We don't talk at all about what we're going to talk about before we get on here. We just turn it on and let it rip. And I guess it's bit us in the ass, and we've lost $4 to $6 over it.
Yeah, I try to speak from integrity and I try to be aligned, but it's a wild world out there. We're doing our best.
Yeah. Patreon.com/churchofchill.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's, I think we have over 100 bonus podcasts on there now. There is a whole treasure trove of content. If you dig what we do, I think that's where our best episodes are. It's the stuff we can't put on this feed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, we continue to do it. Church of Chill episodes, that's our music show. The Discord community is accessible through there. We're about to do a sick merch drop, and it's going to be a limited edition, so the patrons will probably buy them all up. But if not, they'll be available for everybody. But if you want early access and instant access, patreon.com/churchofchill. It really means the world to us when people sign up and support us. Keeps us doing this.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for everybody who helps us stay on this wild adventure.
Yep, and we're just going to keep trying to be peaceful, patient, loving beings.
Do our best.
Yeah, and doing our best. Amen, aho, I, whoop, whoop.
Aye,
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 aye, aye. Peace, love, and magic.
Peace, love, and magic.